So really two main focuses, which is statistical analytics. So taking open data that we're making available publicly, but then also opening it up from our internal departments and using it as a kind of raw material for the discovery of insight, of efficiency, especially as you're taking data from multiple different systems or multiple different agencies and looking to see if there are correlations, intervention points where we can, perhaps redeploy the city's resources to either save money or catalyze job development. So we have a chief data officer, which is the first time, as far as I'm aware, in city government, whose sole job in the mayor's office is actually to promote a culture of data-driven decision-making, and then also to take a really hard look at how we are doing the business of serving the people of Chicago through data. So that's a big one. The other one that's a rather large-scale project is thinking of the physically built environment, the city itself, that we think of the city as being a digital point of interaction. So, especially in San Francisco, but definitely in Chicago as well, you've got a lot of network architecture actually out in the public way. You've got, 4,500 parking meters in Chicago that are essentially computers. You've got networked bus signage and bus shelters. You've got, at least we have, networked solar compactors, trash cans basically. And more coming on every day, but none of these things, it's a completely disarticulated network. And then you've got some of the internal systems, you've got the irrigation and the streetscaping and the traffic signals and all this stuff. None of it's talking. And we believe that an open, low-level operating system, actually for the public way, that can be built upon in the same way that our data catalog can be built upon, or the open the 3-on-1 system with an open API can be built upon. So we're actually thinking about an operating system for the public spaces in Chicago. Well, the digital public way is challenging simply because it's really not been done before, at least not on this scale. A lot of it is not knowing what we don't know. What are the legal implications? Because there's sort of an element of zoning involved in the idea of provisioning services in a certain location. That's one with that. With the analytics, it's a process of getting the right vital signs from the departments, getting that right raw material, and then really it's a culture change issue, right? You've got many governments actually have not, are not typified by data-driven decision-making, right? It's institutional knowledge, gut instinct, rather than sort of quantified. We see that this is what is happening. So we can generate some really interesting insight. And we have actually. The challenge will be pairing that with the local knowledge and the sort of institutional knowledge, so that the commissioners, the deputy mayor, and the mayor himself trusts this to take action on. So I've only been in since May. We've learned all kinds of things. I think with the performance management, I think we've learned that it's and the open data, transparency and accountability. So rebuilding trust through openness and building a better workforce through accountability, all laudable reasons to have an open data strategy. But I think very early on, we saw that cannot be the end in itself. It costs money to open data up. I mean, it costs resource and time to be public about this. You've got to show something more than that. You've got to show, this is the reason for the analytics, right? You've got to show that you can do something with this, whether to save money, to create a better process. Use this as the raw material for insight. And then the other piece, which is actually more outwardly looking, is how can we use open data as a kind of economic catalyst? Businesses can be built upon this. Applications can be developed. It's the reason we're in this application competition. half the municipal apps in the app stores, basically for smartphones, are built in some fashion on data that the city is making public. And frankly, these vital signs of the city are generated by people themselves. It's not like the transit usage data is generated by City Hall. It's by the very people who are using it. So at the very least, we should be making this stuff available to businesses and entrepreneurs, really. So there's an economic development angle to it. So that lesson, what are the actionable uses that open data can be put towards above and beyond the sunlight of transparency and things like that?